A young businessman was rude to an old man on the street, but what he learned from the old man changes his life. Oliver was a young man who was quickly moving up in the corporate world. He was just 25, but he had become assistant director of one of the biggest firms in the country. He was in charge of a large amount of the business, and he devoted every waking hour to working and climbing up the career ladder. Unfortunately, his vast success didn't mean he treated his colleagues and employees well. He was known to be very cold and rude towards everyone who was his junior. From the receptionist at the front desk to the junior associate or an intern, Oliver would always dismiss their opinions, talk down to them, and sometimes even deny them breaks and time off. The most memorable one was when the secretary begged Oliver to allow her to take a few days off to visit a sick grandmother who didn't have many years left. "She's old. Why do I care? You have a job to do," he said rudely without even looking her in the eyes. Because he was so rude and mean to his colleagues, during lunchtime, none of them would invite him when they all went out to lunch together. They would all huddle together at the reception, making sure Oliver was nowhere in sight, and they would leave before he appeared. But Oliver didn't mind. He loved staying in the office anyway. It meant there was less noise and distraction so he could focus more and improve his work. His goal was a promotion, and he would do anything to get that promotion. In addition, his favorite food cart was just across the street, and he would easily go to the food cart to get lunch every day, where he would enjoy his own company without the lazy and annoying colleagues. Oliver was aiming for a promotion. It was a quarterly staff review by the director, and Oliver knew he needed to stay in the office to show his commitment so he could be promoted. He looked at the other employees who were also looking to get a promotion. He was better than them all, and he worked harder. He followed all the policies and guidelines. He didn't waste time talking and gossiping like the rest of them did. He deserved the promotion the most, but of course, hunger always got him, and every day at 1 p.m, he would cross the street and round the corner to the food cart. There was always an elderly homeless man who sat across the street. The old man looked disheveled and wore dirty clothes. His hair was unkempt, and he crouched on the floor with some worn blankets next to him. Oliver did not like that this man was here every day. "Can't you go somewhere else?" Oliver would always say to himself every time he crossed the road. Oliver, of course, could not say these words to the old man, but every time he could, he would give the homeless man a condescending look. This was a place of business, and he couldn't understand why the man decided to sit right across the street from this office building. Oliver thought to himself, the man must have been extremely lazy in his early years to end up homeless and dirty on the floor. This time around, Oliver was in a rush, so he didn't even look at the old beggar, but he knew he was there. Oliver bought his favorite food from the food cart and ate everything there at the stand. He knew he had to head back to the office to continue his work, so he walked past the old homeless man and threw the food wrapper at the man. He didn't care if the food wrapper was in the trash or not. That night, Oliver stayed late past 6 p.m. when the office was closed. He had a deadline and he wanted to meet it. He knew if he completed this work very quickly, he would get his promotion. Oliver worked and worked until his stomach started to grumble for food. He checked the time. It was almost 10 p.m. He knew that his favorite food cart was open until 10:30 p.m. He quickly stood up from his desk. "I'll get some food quickly and come back to work," he said to himself again. This night was particularly dark and there was no moon in sight. The streetlights that normally illuminated that area were dim and dingy. Oliver felt a cold shiver run down his back as he crossed the street when he saw the old homeless man was still there at this time of night. As he got to the other side of the street, he was so focused on the old man, he didn't notice 3 large figures come out of the shadows dressed in all black. There were 3 men, big and muscular with angry looks on their faces. They stepped in front of Oliver and grabbed his hands and started going through his pockets. Oliver's heart started pounding, fear in his eyes as he realized he was getting robbed. He was too frozen to do anything about it. Soon enough, the old man intervened and pushed off the robbers. "Please leave him. He's a kind, hard-working man. Please." The homeless man begged. The man was able to convince the 3 robbers, and they left quickly before anyone noticed them. Oliver was in complete shock. He looked at his hands and then looked at the old man, who was now standing next to him. At that moment, Oliver's view on life changed. He was speechless. "Thank you," he whispered. "Why did you do that for me? I have been horrible to you." The old man smiled at Oliver and told him a story about how decades ago he used to own a big business, the biggest business in the city. He was so proud and arrogant, and his only motivation was money and how to make more of it. He didn't regard anyone else. He would constantly treat others badly. His staff were scared of him, his business partners didn't like working with him, and even his wife threatened to divorce him because of how much he didn't care about other people. He said he was only focused on himself. He was also very reckless with money, gambling and spending all his earnings on frivolous things. When the economy took a downturn, the old man was affected deeply. He lost everything, his business savings, his home, and even his wife left him. Because of how badly he treated the people around him, no one wanted to help him when he needed it. The whole business had finally closed down. The old man would sneak into the building and cry over everything he lost. The old man looked at Oliver, memories of what he had lost in his eyes. "Sometimes, all we need is a little compassion. It can change your life." Oliver was speechless. He tried to invite the old man to come and eat with him at the food cart, but the old man declined. Oliver also tried to give the man money. The man declined that too. The old man told Oliver, "Right now, I don't need money. What I need is for you to have a change of attitude. Change your behavior. Treat others the way you would like to be treated." Oliver suddenly didn't know what to do or what to say. He was struck by the old man's words. He asked the old man for his name. "Sam," the old man said, smiling. "Sam Levi." The next day was the day of Oliver's promotion meeting. He came into the office with the biggest smile on his face. What happened last night with the old man changed his outlook on life. Oliver said hello to everyone on his way to his desk and asked them how they were doing, and he smiled and waved at his colleagues. He even brought donuts and other snacks, and his colleagues looked at each other with astonishment at Oliver's changed behavior. They couldn't believe it was the same man that was so arrogant and rude to them. They whispered to themselves, trying to figure out what could have changed. Soon enough, Oliver was called into the meeting with the director. The meeting lasted about 30 minutes as they discussed objectives and targets. At the end of the meeting, unfortunately for Oliver, the director decided not to promote him. Of course, Oliver felt a little disappointed, but he decided it was for the best. His new outlook on life made him realize that perhaps he was not ready for that position yet. He believed now that there was so much more he needed to accomplish, and not just about the work he did, but how he interacted with his colleagues, his behavior and his approach. He left the director's office feeling content. The secretary he had rudely dismissed previously was standing by the door smiling. Oliver felt too ashamed to look her in the eyes as he walked past, but she smiled at him, stretched out her hand and handed him a burger from his favorite food cart. "How'd it go?" she asked. Oliver was surprised by her niceness. "Not exactly what I expected, but I am content," Oliver replied, still looking a little shocked and confused. He reasoned that if there was anybody in the office who would not like him, it was the secretary. "Better luck next time," she said and handed Oliver the burger. "Thank you," Oliver said, taking the food from her. "Why are you being so kind to me? In fact, why have you always been so kind to me despite how unkind I have been?" The secretary smiled and told him that ever since she started working there was a sign that was above her desk. It was a constant reminder to treat people with kindness. Apparently, that sign was installed by the owner of the building decades ago when it was built. All of the companies that had taken over this building since never took it down. The secretary pointed Oliver to the sign, and Oliver moved closer and read it. As he did this, his heart skipped a beat. The sign read, "Sometimes all we need is a little compassion. It can change your life. Sam Levi." Oliver was taken aback. It was as if the universe was sending him a direct message. He thanked the secretary and walked back to his desk, contemplating the turn of events. The rejection of the promotion, coupled with the unexpected kindness he had received, made him reassess his priorities. Oliver decided it was time for a genuine change. The next day, he started by apologizing to his colleagues for his past behavior. He made sure he acknowledged his faults and declared to all his colleagues his sincere desire to improve and be a better person inside and outside of work. To his surprise, his colleagues were very happy about this change and were easily forgiving. They appreciated his honesty and were willing to give him a chance to prove that he had truly changed. Oliver worked hard to rebuild relationships in the office. He also started volunteering at the local shelter during his free time. Inspired by Sam's story, he wanted to give back to the community and make a positive impact. His colleagues noticed this change and gradually began inviting him to join them for lunch, fostering a sense of friendship that had been missing before. Every so often, Oliver would see Sam at the park or around the corner of his office. He would always offer Sam some food, shelter, or money, and every time Oliver would offer, Sam would decline. Oliver wanted to do something special for Sam, but he didn't know what Sam wanted. As months passed, Oliver found himself content with the positive impact he was making on both his professional and personal life. The rejection of the promotion, once seen as a disadvantage and a setback, now became a reason for meaningful change. The moral of the story echoed louder than ever. Treat others as you want to be treated, for compassion was the power to transform not only individuals, but entire communities. Oliver's dedication to change didn't go unnoticed. The director, who had initially declined to promote him, saw the positive shift in the office environment. Impressed by Oliver's transformation and the subsequent improvement in team dynamics, the director decided to revisit the promotion decision. One day, Oliver received a surprising invitation to the director's office. Nervously, he entered the room, unsure of what awaited him. To his utter surprise, the director extended a hand and congratulated him on the well-deserved promotion. Oliver's hard work, coupled with his commitment to foster a positive workplace and the newfound support and positive feedback from his colleagues, had led him to this well-deserved promotion. As Oliver stepped out of the director's office, he was greeted by a round of applause from his colleagues. Everyone was congratulating him on a job well done. The once hostile and indifferent office that was always silent and daunting had now been transformed into a place where collaboration and respect thrived. Colleagues were kinder to each other, and people felt more like friends. Oliver, now a director himself, felt a profound sense of responsibility to continue promoting a culture of empathy and kindness. That night, after his promotion, Oliver sat at home and thought hard about his life. He owed his new success and happiness to the kind act of Sam the stranger, turned friend. He just wished he could help Sam the way Sam helped him, but Sam would refuse to collect any money from him. Oliver thought deeper. What could he do to help Sam? What did Sam long for the most? He remembered the night Sam stopped the 3 men from robbing him. He thought back to Sam sitting alone on the side of the street, consumed with memories of his past. He remembered the story Sam told him of how he lost everything, including his family. Oliver set out on a mission to reunite Sam with his family. He knew it was not going to be an easy task. It was a gesture he knew Sam deserved. No one had gone out of their way for Oliver the way Sam did that night. In the face of danger, Sam was there like a guardian angel to protect him. Regardless of how Oliver had treated him in the past, regardless of all the times Oliver had looked down on him, Sam had stood up for him and taught him a very valuable lesson. Oliver owed Sam a whole lot. Oliver spent weeks and weeks with the resources he had available, trying to trace Sam's footsteps before he had become homeless. Oliver researched the original owner of the building he had currently worked at, Sam's business, many years ago. Eventually, Oliver was able to track down some of Sam's friends, whom he had not treated so well in the past. They agreed to meet up with Oliver. He told his friends about the new Sam, the Sam that had helped him when he was about to get robbed. He told them how Sam had been there for him like a guardian angel. The friends were shocked but happily comforted that Sam had changed his behavior and outlook towards life. They had forgiven Sam and were keen to see him again. Now, all Oliver had to do was contact Sam's estranged wife. He was very cautious of this, because he didn't know what he would find. Nevertheless, Oliver knew he had to do this for Sam. He had to reunite Sam with his wife. A few more days went by as Oliver contemplated how he was going to approach Sam's wife. One day he gathered the courage to do so, and he sent an email to her. Almost immediately, he got a response from the email. The person on the other end of the email sounded very keen and excited to meet up. Oliver agreed to meet up with her at a cafe in town. The next day, Oliver met up with the woman from the email, and it turned out to be Sam's estranged wife. Sam's wife was so happy to hear the news about her husband. She had never stopped looking for him. She had felt guilty all these years for the way she had abandoned him when Sam lost his business. The woman said she never stopped looking for him, and had lived in a town nearby in hopes of reuniting with Sam again. Oliver told the woman how much Sam had changed. Her eyes filled with emotions on hearing this news about how Sam had become a better person because she knew he was a good person at heart. Her smile quickly faded. "There's only one thing I'm worried about. I have a secret and I don't know how Sam will react," she said, eyes filled with worry. Oliver was extremely curious to find out what the secret was, but the wife was reluctant to say what it was. She insisted she needed to meet Sam to explain. Oliver had a brilliant idea of throwing a surprise party for Sam as a way to thank him and reunite him with his family and friends. He would make it an evening Sam would never forget. A week later, it was the evening of the surprise party. The room was beautifully set up. It had balloons and flowers, food and drinks, a real party. This is exactly what Oliver felt Sam deserved, to be celebrated for his kindness. The room was filled with excited conversations as everyone was anticipating Sam's arrival. Oliver had been able to convince Sam to dress up and meet him at the place where the party was being held, unknown to him. Oliver was anxious but excited to see Sam meet his family again. The room was buzzing with excitement as the lights were dimmed. Everyone held their breath as Sam walked in. Then a loud eruption of cheers could be heard all over the room. Sam was taken aback by the familiar smiling faces. His eyes locked on his wife as they both ran and embraced each other. "I'm so sorry," Sam said, tears filling his eyes. He never thought he would see his wife again. He had convinced himself that after all these years, she had moved on to someone better. He was shocked to see her embracing him with such warmth. "I've been looking for you. I never stopped looking for you," Sam's wife replied. "There's just one more thing I need to tell you. I don't know how you're going to take it." The whole room went quiet. People that hadn't seen Sam for 20 years were unsure of what his reaction would be. Oliver was the most curious to find out what the secret was. Sam, while a bit curious, was too overwhelmed to feel anxious about whatever his wife's secret was. He was just too thrilled to be able to hug his wife again. Just then, a young lady in her mid-20s came out of the crowd, smiling. Sam's wife put her arms around the lady and said, "This is your daughter, Emily. I just found out I was pregnant with her shortly after we separated, and I tried looking for you. I tried reaching your friends to see if they knew where you were, but no one knew. But she always wanted to know who her father really was. I kept telling her that one day we would see you again. I hope you're not too angry for not knowing her all these years. I did try to find you." Sam gasped as his eyes filled with tears as he looked into his daughter's eyes and hugged her deeply. He never in a million years thought he would experience this again in his life. This was something Sam had always wanted. The crowd cheered with his new family, emotion in their voices. A few moments later, Sam looked around the room and saw Oliver standing in the corner. Sam approached Oliver with a big smile on his face and gave him a tight hug too. That night on the street corner had changed both of their lives. Indeed, kindness did go a long way, and everyone has the ability to help each other in a little way. "Thank you," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. "No, I should thank you," Oliver replied to Sam. "You changed my outlook on life." As Oliver and Sam shared another hug, he said to Sam again, "I have learned from you. Sometimes all we need is a little compassion. It can change your life."